Hello, today we are with Rita Stubbs, the new head coach for the women's volleyball program for the University of Arizona. Congratulations on your well-deserved promotion.
Thank you.
And for the first question, can you elaborate on what this role means to you and your family, and how are you feeling right now?
How am I feeling? I'm a little overwhelmed right now, just because there's a lot coming at me. A lot of people want to talk, ask questions, but it's something that I've wanted for a long time. I started this journey to be a head coach for the second time.
Yeah.
Back in 2020, when I just started writing down all my thoughts and what I thought was important, what wasn't important, how to answer certain situations versus other situations. But for my family, they're excited for me. They're really about me being what I want to be in the sport. I think the sport gives a lot. I think the athletes are eager to learn from a different way or a different person, if you will. I think my family embraces that a lot.
That's awesome. We're happy for you for that.
Thank you.
For going to the next season, will you measure success? I'm sorry, how will you measure success?
Success comes in various ways. I think one of the easiest way that everyone understands is by wins and losses.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more than wins and losses. It's about setting goals ahead of time and reaching those goals. So it may be the team that causes the other team that calls the first time out, or get to 15 first, but then you just set little goals along the way. Our goal ultimately is to get back to the NCAA tournament.
All right, well, that's awesome. Okay, well, this is a two-part question. How much has the game changed from when you played as compared to now as a head coach?
The game has changed a lot because it used to be side out, and it was long. Now with rally scoring, everything matters. Every point matters. Every contact matters. Whereas most people don't really think about that. It's like, oh, I can take a playoff. And rally score, you can't take a playoff because you're either giving a point or taking a point away. And so that has changed a lot. And then the libero has impacted the game. They become the second most important person. I like to think the setter is the most important, kind of like the quarterback, the point guard of basketball and football. And then the libero, just because they can impact a game, they can take balls away from the bigs who are still learning to play, pass, and then as well as just going and get balls that, you'll frustrate a hitter a lot. Yeah. I'm sure you understand this when the libero goes up there and dig those balls. So that person becomes really important. Those two players or two changes have impacted the game.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the other part of this is, has athleticism and IQ evolved?
Yes, athleticism. I mean, girls are hitting, women, I should say, are hitting the ball way harder than they used to, jumping higher, way more explosive. I think part of that is because we've started specializing a little more. I have a love-hate relationship with specializing in a sport too early. I think there's different skills you can learn from playing other sports, but in the end, when you know that's what you want to do for the long haul, I think is what you need to do. The game is much faster now from even when I played. So I show my players videos of when I played. They're like, oh my gosh, how'd you get there so fast? Well, I'm like, oh, the set was a little bit higher. But I was good. But the set was higher than it is now. The slide is way more integral a part of the game. And because a lot of men are getting involved in women's coaching, a lot of the things that take place in the men's game has translated to the women's game.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. That's cool. That's a cool thought about it. Okay. For any high school student athlete hoping to get recruited, can you name 2 attributes that you might look for in players that would help your program? And can you also name 2 that you would turn away?
Let me go with what turns us away as coaches. And this is just in general for all coaches. You want athletes who are playing because they want to play, not playing because their parent is making them play or it's the social thing to do. And the other thing that's super important is athletes who are accountable. You want to be accountable for your actions. You want to be responsible, know what the score is, come to practice on time. You fill your own water bottle up. You're not throwing it to your parents in the middle of the game saying, I'm thirsty. You bring your own knee pads. You pack your little snack for the match and for the day. Being more responsible is one of the things that we talk about a lot in athletes today is like, do they really understand that? Back in the day, during my day, we went home and we had a key to the door and you had to fix your own food and you had to do all those things, and I don't wish that on anyone, but there came a sense of self-dependence there, independence I should say, whereas now it's just a little bit different, and that's to no fault of anyone. It's just what goes with the nature of the beast. The things that most coaches look for, I can honestly say, is coachability. Coachability is exaggerating what the coach is asking of you to the best of your ability, even if that means they say make a 3-step approach and go as fast as you can. And I don't care where you hit the ball, and the athlete goes slow and they get it in and goes, yeah, I'm good. It's like, no, that's not what I asked you to do.
Yeah.
So coachability is super important. And then the other thing is competitors. Every coach wants a kid who wants to be out there, who's willing to fight, grind, and just get the job done.
All right, that's good, because I know personally I've heard a lot about coachability and like constantly like emphasizing coachability and competitiveness. So that's cool to hear from a D1 coach. Yes. What are some interests you have outside of coaching?
I actually study Hebrew. My goal is I take classes twice a week, and my goal is to learn how to read the Old Testament in its original text.
Oh, wow.
And I had the aspiration of learning Greek so I could read the New Testament. Well, let me just say it's a little bit harder than I thought. But I've learned what the word means. So when I ask someone, is that really what you meant? Is because I understand that if you look at Hebrew in the Bible in its original text, we've changed things around a lot, and we've put a loose interpretation on it. Whereas this is what it meant for the people of that time, but this is how it can be applicable to the world now. And so when I ask that question, it's because I have that back knowledge of, okay, to hear, and this is something I'll tell you, to hear means to obey. So if you hear someone, that means you're obeying them. That means that you're doing exactly what they say. So in the Bible, it was like God had commandments.
Yeah.
And so once I learned that, I was like, okay. But whereas now it's like, if I say, do you hear me? You're like, oh, I listen to you. But do you really hear me? Because if you did, you would do what I say.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Yes.
I never knew that. That's awesome. I might ask you about that later on.
Yes, absolutely.
So for the last question, what do you want your coaching legacy to be?
I want to be the coach that players enjoy playing for, that they're eager to come in and see what she's about, what's going on. It's kind of how I live my life, period. I want to be a reflection that everyone's wondering, well, they just lost yesterday. Why is she still happy? Or she has a big match coming up. How come she's not worried? I want people to question that, which will then allow me to kind of express other things to them, where I get my strength, where I get my source of power, and why I strive the way I strive.
Wow, that's really awesome. I know a lot of people love being when you're athletes, so.
I also know a lot of people are afraid of me, which I hear all the time.
Yeah.
And I giggle because I think at the end of the day, and this wasn't one of your questions, but I think the reason why people are is because I stand tall and I'm confident. I'm a little tall, not really in the grand scheme of things, but I'm confident in how I speak and what my answers are. And my confidence is then taken for arrogance in certain situations where that's not it at all. But once you get to know me, people just like stand next to me and they laugh and we have fun. So I take it as a term of endearment now. It used to bother me, but believe it or not, even as a player, I've always heard, you're scary, you're scary, you're scary. My son tells me all the time, so-and-so thinks you're scary. I'm like, why? So I understand.
Well, that makes sense. That's a good quality to have, though, confidence, and I need some confidence too. So
we all do, and it's not a skill that most girls are taught because you know you don't want to be the B word, you don't want to be the mean one, and unfortunately we tend to be liked a little bit, need to be liked more than guys. And once you realize that you can't be all things to all people anyway, you know, as long as you're not intentionally being a bad person, which I mean, who actually does that? Not too many people.
All right, thank you so much for being here. I wish you the best in your career.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.